The first government in history to criminalize the Torah did not come from Egypt or Babylon. It came from the Greek Empire. In 167 BC, a king named Antiochus IV Epiphanes outlawed circumcision, banned Sabbath observance, burned scripture, and transformed Jerusalem's temple into a pagan sanctuary. For a brief moment, it looked as though covenant identity itself might disappear. This is the opening file of the Maccabean Dossier, a forensic investigation into one of history's earliest experiments in state-enforced ideological conformity. Alexander the Great was dead. His empire had fractured. His generals divided the ancient world into competing kingdoms, and Judah once again found itself trapped between empires. But this threat looked different. The Seleucids did not simply demand taxes, they demanded transformation. Greek language, Greek education, Greek customs, Greek identity. To many elites in Jerusalem, this looked like progress. Opportunity, modernization, a chance to join the sophisticated Hellenistic world, which made it far more dangerous, because assimilation rarely begins as oppression, it begins as aspiration. Jerusalem slowly began changing from within. A gymnasium was built. Greek customs became fashionable. Some Judeans even attempted to conceal signs of circumcision in order to fully participate in Greek society. The high priest Jason actively promoted these reforms. This was more than cultural exchange. It was identity reconstruction, a soft power system built on a simple logic. If you can change what people admire, you can eventually change what they worship. Then Antiochus escalated everything. Soft power became hard power. According to 1 Maccabees, all should be one people, one law, one culture, one identity. Torah scrolls were confiscated and burned. Sabbaths were outlawed. Circumcision became punishable by death. Mothers who circumcised their sons were publicly executed. This was ideological warfare. The goal was not obedience, it was uniformity. Then came December of 167 BC, the temple itself was targeted. An altar dedicated to Zeus was established on the Temple Mount. Swine were sacrificed. Pagan rites filled the sacred courts. For faithful Judeans, the center of covenant life had become its opposite. Centuries earlier, the book of Daniel had already described a ruler who would profane the sanctuary and persecute the holy people. This event became known as the Abomination of Desolation, and centuries later, Jesus himself would point back to it as a prophetic pattern. Antiochus was not just a historical figure. He became a blueprint, a recurring pattern history would imitate again and again. This struggle between assimilation and covenant identity runs through the entire biblical story. It begins in Egypt, continues through the wilderness, and shapes Israel's entire experience in Canaan. If you followed this struggle between assimilation and covenant identity all the way back to where it started, then the Exodus to Conquest Master Dossier is where the case file begins. The plague mechanism in Egypt, the Red Sea crossing physics, the real Mount Sinai site, the Jericho destruction layer, link in the description. Back in the Babylon Dossier, we explored Nebuchadnezzar's dream, a succession of empires, each attempting, in its own way, to centralize power and reshape humanity. Antiochus was another manifestation of that same pattern, a ruler claiming divine authority, demanding ideological conformity, attempting to replace covenant identity with state identity, and for a moment, it looked like he might succeed. The Torah was outlawed, the temple desecrated. Resistance appeared crushed. But history was about to pivot, because in a small Judean village called Modin, one family refused to comply. Antiochus controlled armies, laws, education, public life. What he never controlled was allegiance. Identity enforced from above can produce compliance. It cannot guarantee loyalty, and sometimes persecution becomes the very thing that strengthens the identity it hoped to erase. Antiochus believed cultural uniformity could stabilize an empire. Covenant identity survived Egypt. It survived Babylon. It was about to survive Greece too. Because the next file is not about kings or decrees, it is about resistance, a single act of defiance in the village of Modin that ignited one of history's most remarkable guerrilla insurgencies. The Hellenistic fire had arrived, and the spark of rebellion was about to be lit. Part 2. The Modin Inks, the spark of guerrilla defiance. The next file is already being prepared.